Well, it was getting towards the middle of our week in the studio, and Connor mentioned that there was a lighting competition he wanted to try submitting something for, and we had that weekend off. So, naturally we decided on our day off from shooting this feature film, let's spend another 13 hours on set shooting something else. And we had a lot of fun on that set because we got to repurpose the dining room area on the Rubaru set. But something happened that day where I know Connor started it. He started talking in this Russian accent.
Hello, welcome to the lighting contest. I am Connor. Look at my crew as they walk through. We have main actor here. We have sound director, cameraman here. I was gaffer and many other things. We have 4 people on the crew. 1 is behind the camera right now.
Kind of a Russian accent. It was Zach described it as a mix between Gru and the main actor from The Room. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty spot on. So he started talking with this Russian accent. And on that set, it was just the 4 of us. It was Connor, William, and Robert and I. And we all just adopted this Russian accent and started talking like that for all the 13 hours on set. And we went out to dinner, went out some pizza place, talking Russians. And then Marco popped in that day too, and you were with Michaela. And I don't know what started it, but then we kept that accent on for almost the whole rest of the shoot. It wasn't until our very last day that the accents kind of disappeared.
Yeah, the church location was actually my home church, Redeemer in La Mirada. And so that summer before, I just emailed Greg Stump, the pastor, and said, hey, this is what we're doing. What would it take to use the sanctuary and gym for a day? And they were fantastic. I mean, they just let us pay basically the cleaning fee to take over the space for that entire Monday.
Pews. Yes? I'll be back.
The week 3 is our long haul because, well, it wasn't. I was kind of expecting it to be a lot busier than it was because it started off busy. Our very first Monday.
That was the day we had rented out a church sanctuary and gym to do the wedding scene. And this was a very big day because a couple days before, Andy and Ellie had to rush off to the LA flower market to get flowers, and we were still kind of getting the last pieces together. The wedding dress had to be tailored still. A number of different things were last minute additions, and we finally were at the day of the wedding.
I think the apartment was really cool overall, but the wedding scene was just totally different and also a lot of fun because I got to arrange flowers, I got to do Elizabeth's hair, I got to make sure the dress fit her because it was a secondhand dress.
Wow. How does it feel?
It feels good. It's like
a little loose in the bust.
A little loose up here, yeah.
Okay.
But the back feels good.
Okay.
And that was very fun and definitely another example of using what we had in a way that really elevated it all.
I mean, at this point in the budget, we were trying to basically not spend anything. I think we gave Emily a number and we said, do with this what you can, let us know how we can help. We shot a lot on longer lenses, so you really didn't see as much of the space. We were reusing the same flowers every time we changed the camera, being very intentional about kind of moving stuff around as the camera moved. It's all tricks. It's all fake. You think there's 12 flowers? There's 5.
So even though I had some set experience, I still tried to cut corners sometimes because, if you're in the studio, you can definitely make a dolly work without track. But, the moment you bring the dolly onto any kind of vaguely uneven surface, then you realize exactly why you need track. And when we got into that church, even just doing the rehearsals and trying to find frame, we realized very quickly this is an old church and the floor is very old and it's very bumpy and we don't have track because we didn't even check it out. I remember the other hard part for Connor was just trying to light such a big space, especially because we had so many wide shots. So he was really limited in where he could put lights. And at least when we started to actually like move in and do closer shots, then it was a lot easier on him, and we could actually finesse the lighting more and make it look better. But yeah, the wide shot, which is what we started with, I'm pretty sure that one took a lot of setup and a lot of practice and a lot of compromising. I'm like, okay, we just have to make this work. What can we do?
We had, I don't know, a couple dozen extras, and thank goodness Selena, the second AD, was there to help me process all of them and, help them get from check-in to holding and on set on time.
He is buzzed. He is shy man.
I do not like camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am camera shy.
Oops. I will look at them instead.
I am camera shy, don't point at me.
William, if for these shots, because this is the end point, I do not see you.
Okay. Can we put you in the far back?
Far back.
The last row between the two ladies.
I'm not getting
Would that be
married.
okay?
Is that guy getting married? Which guy right there?
If I can get
Wait.
legal person there.
Wait, since when? Who told me? This is news to me. I thought I was here for you.
Over my dead body.
I don't even know her name. Wait a minute. I'll be here for you.
I thought you said he was a hipster. You said he was a hipster, so I thought he married her.
The hipster that married his sister.
Hipsters.
It's second.
It was... Yeah, that's what I was told.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's not there.
Yeah, it did have a very long train, and the veil, like I kept adjusting the veil. I that was my job that day.
Wasn't the veil stitched together because it was like also like a small thing we had to figure out?
It was two different veils because we wanted to have a veil that Elizabeth's dad to reveal the bride as he gives her to Charles, and so we had two that were kind of stuck together, and one that went down the back and one that covered her face. And that was a little tricky with her hair as well.
With the veil?
Camera speeds.
Oh, yeah.
Slate.
Okay.
Yep.
Scene 33, echo, take one, marker.
Good slate.
I just want something to cut with. That's a great thing to cut with.
Yeah.
Okay. Camera set.
Alright, here we go. Last minute. Here we go. Emily, thank you.
Yeah, change things up.
And
doing that whole thing, like the whole wedding scene and saying the vows was I don't think it was the most challenging out of the whole thing, but it was one of them because obviously I haven't lived through that yet. So that was one new thing.
Shooting it was a blast. It's pretty. Mr. Stevens, the host who had helped us out in week 1, came back and helped us as our pastor for that day, which was brilliant.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
I think for me, just managing so many things. I had never done anything like that. I didn't know how to do that at all. And so a lot of it was just figuring it out as we went along, like what is working today, what isn't working today. I think I had a couple costume fiascos that were very difficult for me early on because as soon as it's on screen and you can't change it, which I think was a learning curve for me, but that was difficult early on. I think learning how to move on and just be okay, like it's not going to be perfect, nothing is ever perfect, but learning how to take things from those experiences and learn how to better respond in the future, how to better prepare in the future. Yeah, there was a lot of learning with the costumes, definitely.
Because once they step in the sunlight, there's nothing else we do.
And The sunlight is not a good thing.
Robert gets my sad baby face.
You go in like 15 feet.
I have fruit dessert.
You see second door.
Speedy.
Speeding. It's late. Camera set.
So after we filmed the wedding ceremony all day, then we transitioned to the other side of the church to use the gym for the wedding reception. And so we lost a few extras who couldn't stay for the day, so we had to be even more intentional about blocking our extras and subject and camera on that Z-axis.
I got pretty close with Robert, our sound op, because we were doing a lot of like steady cam shots, and I was really impressed. Him and I never actually ran into each other. There was like one take where he like hit a light with his boom pole, but he never actually like whacked me, and I was really impressed. I was like, wow, because we didn't know each other that well, but we were just like dancing together as we're like steady cam opping and boom opping. It's fun. We took a photo at the end of the night with everyone because I was like, wow, look, we have like a full cast and crew. This is incredible. Like usual, we had a time crunch and we had to kind of fly everything out of the building.
Yeah, I just remember that part going pretty smoothly. I remember trying to make sure we got out of the church on time to respect, the rate they had given us and not make it any harder for the cleaning crew or anything.
It was pretty uneventful, but it was also full of eventful things I'm fully unaware of. So good on Andy for being a good producer and for Sadie.
So we still had one more coffee shop scene that third week. And we all had a little bit of coffee shop PTSD from day one. So we asked a different location right around the corner from school. Hey, could we just come in the afternoon when it's quiet and just bring a tiny crew and film this?
It was a very small coffee shop. We did not realize how small it was until we got there.
Yeah, me and most of the crew went back, I think, to start tearing down the set. And so we just sent a splinter unit off to that coffee shop to film, the Garrett engagement. They're gonna go away to Europe scene.
We were like trying to see if we could set anything up. And once again, it was basically like one light and the camera. And it was just my small tube light.
Rubaru scene 23 Delta, take 1, soft sticks, marker.
That's pretty cool. Is this about right back? Wedding?
Yes, perfect.
And it was the beginning of our goodbyes. It's the beginning of saying goodbye to our cast and kind of hitting a sore spot of, wait, we actually have to say goodbye to these people that we've spent almost a month with. And that transitioned us into our day off, which was much, much needed.
It actually felt really good to be able to tear down the set because it is the finality of it of like, all right, we shot out the apartment, it's done, like let's tear it down, let's carry on, let's move on. Like it felt like a more upbeat moment for me, and I think a lot of the crew. We were also like very goofy that day, so we were taking everything apart.
So Big Bear was like my last day on set because I spent that Saturday helping to tear down the set in Studio A, which went way faster than I thought it would. We discovered that it was a lot flimsier than we thought.
I was ecstatic. We did it. We're out of here. It's done. And then I felt a little bad for feeling so good about it when Marco walked in. And he was obviously distraught and like he had lost a child, and here I am and we are celebrating having just demolished this thing.
It did feel kind of like saying goodbye to a home in a sense, which is fitting for an apartment set. But I was pretty happy when we reached that point because I also knew that was the turning point, that we were reaching the end of production and we only had I think a week or a week and a half left of shooting. So we're like, okay, this is the new checkpoint and it's victorious. Like we don't have to worry about doing pickups here. So yeah, it was a pretty jovial event.
We had a lot more trust in those walls than maybe they deserved, considering how quickly they came down, but it was great. It was actually really easy to tear down the set. It was so weird watching that set come down after we had worked on, building it and having it up and, having it feel almost like this real apartment for, about a month, and then just having it come down quickly in the space of a few hours was kind of weird to watch and kind of cool in a way.
So we demolish the set, we take what we can to the dumpster, and then we're left with chairs and dishes and a bookshelf and art and all sorts of things. So we just basically had a garage sale in Studio A. I put a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. We posted on Biola message boards. I had a bunch of friends come over and just buy things off of us. By selling all that stuff, everything we could from the apartment meant, I mean, literally that we could buy gas to drive to Big Bear in 2 days. Budget was that tight. I mean, we were looking at cash flow and trying to figure out how to move pieces, sequentially just to make it through the next day.
I started working on getting the permit for Big Bear back in the summer, just looking through some of the logistics, figuring out what's that gonna take, emailing people, starting contact. But it wasn't until Andy got to set day one of the film while we were filming, he started looking at the logistics of that, and it just kept going. We didn't get everything squared away till end of the first week, beginning of the second week. It was a lot of paperwork, a lot of insurance. This is the first time I've ever had to ask for $1 million in insurance. That was terrifying. No.
Big Bear was so exciting. I'm so glad that was the last couple days of the shoot, because it felt almost like the whole cast and crew was going on a vacation and adventure at the end of the shoot. And of course we were still shooting our scenes and prepping for that and everything. We all packed up in our cars, packed up all the gear and the food and everything. And we just brought everyone on up to Big Bear, and that's, almost a 2-hour drive depending.
We just had fun. It was camping. The first thing we shot was the beach scene. Shot on the beach, and we're there, kind of kicking back, waiting for things to happen. Andy's being time scheduled.
Perfect. 2 men, 3 fishing rods. They will catch all the fish.
And all of a sudden, Connor, William, and Zach found a rock. And that rock had to move.
It was causing a shadow, wasn't it? There was something that was slightly legit. We could have moved the camera a little. I think it was Connor and Rebecca were both like, you know what? That rock, it's that boulder. Really, it wasn't a rock. That was a boulder. They're like, we gotta move that. That's just in the way. And so I think there were 4 or 5. We actually went and we threw our backs into it and pretty much threw our backs out of it too. But we pushed that rock.
To be extra
Lord, that you help us move this rock.
We believe.
We ask for strength, and that is it.
And safety. Amen.
All right, watch foot, Rebecca. Okay.
I don't know actually.
Wait. 1. Oh, I have good grip now. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
I did it!
Watch your hands. Lips again. Roll again. Okay. We are moving mountains. Everybody doubt us.
Yes!
Move this way. Move right away from rock. We're not putting it into the water, guys. We did it! That rock was right there earlier. Now it's there. Yes.
Wait for the truck to leave.
That's
so
Woo!
Now we shovel dirt back into hole.
Yes.
And we have no rock to move wherever we wish.
So where do you want this?
So I don't even know how long they spent on that. I think 20, 30 minutes digging around a rock until they could move it.
It wasn't wet.
Well, William was holding onto the camera, I think, at that time. But it was
shut.
Whatever.
Why move
We had to move it.
They had to move it.
On the permit.
We
to
had
move it.
to move it. It had to go.
This is heavy rock. We miscalculated. Maybe rock should just stay here for now.
In a weird way, I didn't see it like this then, but the whole thing with the rock is kind of a metaphor for all of Rubaru. There was no need to push that rock, and there was no need to go make this film. But we could, and it took a Herculean amount of effort to move the rock, to make the movie. And it was kind of stupid and kind of crazy, and yet it was so much fun, and people were just celebrating, and now we still talk about moving the rock. And did that mean anything? I mean, I guess the rock is still there where we moved it, but we did it, and I guess that's what matters, right?
Good slate. Well, I felt bad because I got there and it was like such an ugly beach. And Andy apparently went through a lot to get us permits for that beach. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how can I possibly make this beach look good? It looks terrible. And you know, the lighting was terrible because it was a bad time of day to shoot. So like the whole thing, I was like, oh, this is awful. Like, I wish we could shoot on the other side of the lake. But Andy was really proud of that, and I didn't want to burst his bubble and be like, dude, this is an ugly ass beach. But we tried to make it work. I think it looks okay. It's definitely not a place that people would actually fish.
And then we went to our actual campsite.
Shooting at the lake was difficult because it was just a bad time to shoot outdoors. It was like high noon or late afternoon. So it was not the best there, but once we actually got up to Big Bear near the campsite, like that, then it was perfect. The light was at the right angle. It was beautiful evening light.
Good slate. Wait for the first AC car pusher, man.
Cool. That's fine. I can live with them just all down there.
Okay. No, it's downhill. We'd be good.
He's just chatting.
Okay.
Make sure you turn. And action.
We're still speeding in 8K.
We'll probably delete this file.
Should I just cut?
Nope, here we go. She got it.
Okay.
Break.
She completely missed the marks.
It was beautiful. I mean, Big Bear is just such an amazing place, and everybody, you couldn't choose in a better location. It was just fantastic. And
You know, actually, out of everything that I remember shooting for Rubaru, what we shot in Big Bear was some of my favorite scenes, actually. And everyone was in a great mood because, I mean, it basically felt like we were just going camping with the cast and crew. Like, we were still working, we still had scenes to do, but it definitely felt good to just get out of the city.
we shot one earlier scene that we're standing out in the sun all day. And then we're supposed to be shooting a scene before that. Then I was like partly tan, partly sunburned. That was then like trying to cover up because there's the continuity problem. And so that was fun. That was always a nice little challenge.
Our sound mixer, Robert, he was slating for me because I had to like tilt the camera up. And he kept like slating it wrong because, you know, he's the sound guy. But like we kept like going back and forth, and everyone is outside the tent so they can hear us like bickering. I'm like, bad slate.
58 hotel, take 2.
A bad slate. What? Bad slate bars live. Move finger. Hold.
Sunset.
Camera set. That whole tent section was like my favorite because Nathan, our lead actor in Rubaru, for one of the takes, we were just like going normal, and then he opens it up, and the scene is he's putting his bags inside the tent, I think. Mm-hmm. But for one take, he like yells and he like grabs me and he starts dragging me out of the tent like.
I missed this. Where was
You
I?
missed this? You dragged me out of the tent. You should watch the.
Probably Vaughn's again because I went like 7 or 8 times. I think I still know the Vaughn's, the grocery store in Big Bear, like the back of my hand. It was crazy how many trips we made there. I think I just didn't have any brain cells left. I mean, it was always for stupid stuff, like, oh, we need more napkins, or oh, we need, paper plates, or oh, we forgot one ingredient for the dinner, and oh, we need something to fry, over the fire for the shot. And I think I went there 4 or 5 times down the street. I think just because I couldn't process anything else by that point in the shoot.
You just drop right down the stairs. You hit perfectly. You don't even feel bones crushing.
So for that night, we were shooting at a campsite and we needed lights for a night scene, just like the celebs we brought up. And so we had to have a generator up to power the lights. And now this was after quiet hours at the campsite. So we had to put the generator off as far from the campsites as we could, have some sound blankets to form something of a sound wall. And then we had to have someone babysit the generator because it's sitting in the middle of the woods and you really don't want to start a fire in the middle of the woods.
It was a lot like the scene in the movie, without the underlying family angst and tension. But it really was just us and Nathan and Sarah and the crew just making food and telling stories and talking about how bright the stars were up ahead, unlike Los Angeles.
And then I spent a lot of the night babysitting the generator. I had a book with me, so I just sat there and read my book and made sure the generator did not set anything on fire.
Nathan, Charles, just remember how to get to your tent.
Dane has a vibe on you.
Take one.
Good slate.
Alright, everyone settle. This one's better. I mean, they're still blacks, but
Yeah.
the rest is probably. Alright, here we go. And action.
Just a few more minutes on the fish.
Thank you so much for cooking dinner, hon.
Yeah, of course. I mean, hey, cooked enough of these for us, so only right I return the favor.
And I think we can thank Charles for cooking.
Those were definitely some of my favorite scenes to shoot. Not just because it was fun, like figuring out fire lighting with Connor, but also because it was just like being out in nature again and being able to connect that way with our cast and crew, where between takes, like we were playing frisbee or we were just like sitting and enjoying like this clean air in this quiet forest.
The best part about that night was simply the fact that we had like a big family goodbye party.
And after we wrapped our night scenes, like we had marshmallows and we just talked around the fire for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. And there was like Andy and Ellie and Nathan just like laid out and sat or slept under the stars. And I shared a tent with Sarah. I was her bodyguard. And the 3 guys, they were like in a tent, and there's other people like sleeping in the cars, and Connor and Zach were sleeping like on air mattresses in the back of his truck. So he had his pickup truck and they're just like nestled in there.
Those nights looking up at the stars and feeling like you're part of something so much bigger and super small at the same time. And that's really what it felt like that night at the end of production, at the end of doing this crazy shoot all month long, after only 1 year of film school. And here we were at the top of a mountain, finished just about shooting a feature film, looking up at like all of the stars through the trees. It's like one of those experiences that's really hard to put into words and to say, but it kind of sits with you all the time.
It was our last day also with like Elizabeth's family. And we were getting towards our last day with Nathan and Sarah as well. And it was just really nice to end it that way, where we were kind of like actually camping as a family, not just like them pretending to camp as a family.
God bless William Belico. Oh my gosh. I mean, we didn't really have crafty or a dedicated, food person for most of production, but William, this man can cook. I think he just wanted to eat better than we had all month. And so he volunteered to make food. It's like, yes, absolutely. I'll go buy the stuff. That's why I went to Vaughn's 5 or 6 times. gave him the ingredients and he just went at it. And I think those were some of the best meals we had that entire month.
About 4-ish, almost 5 years at this point, and we've had some good crafting for sure, but it could be better for sure. And so I kept saying to the crew, like, if there's ever a day that's not too busy for camera, I'll get some nice food rolls. And so today, or last night, did this nice barbecued salad, and I think that was hit. It was it disappeared very quickly, so it's usually a good sign. And of course, we did hot dogs because we're camping right now, which means a lot of resources are pretty limited at this point. And we've been working with really old charcoal. It's getting there. But yeah, so we're cooking up breakfast now. We're going to do Southwest style chili wraps. Or salsa wraps, I should say. Yep. And we also have vegan bean-based burger as well for one of our vegan crew cast. Yep. So lovely mix of things.
All right, thanks so much.
Always a pleasure.
So the day after we got back from Rubaru was actually a day off, but like most days off, we still had stuff to do, and so we had found a beach that we could shoot at, but we hadn't been there yet. So Marco and I decided that we'd go drive out. The rest of the crew could just chill, but we planned to drive out and just scout it so we know what it looked like for the next day. And I was in a giggly mood anyway, which was pretty normal. I remember Marco was kind of grumpy, which I found kind of funny. So I was laughing a lot in the car and giving him a hard time. It was probably just, several weeks of having to listen to us talk in Russian accents, But we went to get coffee before we went to the beach. And, Marco was kind of grumpy anyway. And then when he goes to pass them his credit card, it falls. And it's a very narrow drive-through. And, Marco's a pretty broad man. And I was like, oh no, what do you do in that situation? And somehow he managed to open the door and just disappear next to the car to reach his credit card. And it was so funny. It was straight out of a cartoon, something the Minions would do. And it was just hilarious. I think I laughed to tears. It was great. It was one of the best moments. Our final day of production was at the beach, and it was a super small crew. It was just Marco, Nathan and Sarah, my brother, Connor, and Robert. It was basically just us.
We got up, I don't remember. I got up around 4:30 a.m. in the morning. It was pitch black outside, and I drove to pick up my talent. And I picked up Sarah, then I picked up Nathan, and then we drove all the way out to Malibu. Hour and a half drive. Got there 6 a.m. before the sun rose. It was just getting light.
And everything had to be carried to the beach that we were going to, because it was actually in a little cove separate from the main beach. I had to make some calls of what gear we brought and what we left behind. And naturally, in any of these situations, what you choose to leave behind is going to be exactly what you need.
It's not my fault. You
Good
move.
slate to infinity
And beyond. And action.
Robert, catch me! Catch me!
Hold on. We're on adventures.
You guys having fun?
Yeah! Until I get in the water, we'll see them.
Yeah, we'll see then. Hello,
I mean,
Marco.
I'm not having fun until they get in the water, so.
And so I had figured that we didn't need the 85, because I was like, you know what, a lot of this is fluid. I'm just going to be hand holding a lot of it, even with the actors. They're not going to be that far out in the ocean. But once we actually hiked down to the beach, we kind of realized that the 50 was a little wide for a lot of the shots that we wanted to get.
You saw the matches?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I know where that match is coming from.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's over there. It's like
tagged and everything.
It's in the rocks. Yeah, you really should.
That would be so
It was just such a blast. We got beautiful shots. This beautiful vista, beautiful, beautiful shots. And then I asked him to get in the water because it's a montage. And put it lightly, Sarah was kind of scared of the water. I think it's one of her first times of being in the ocean, like in a really big way. She also got kind of slightly pulled under a little bit too, so it was fun.
so scary.
You want to swear at him? Swear at him on this one.
You know what? I wasn't feeling too good at the. Oh, how do you feel about this one? Wait, stay focused. You need to stay here, Marker. You can't run away. Waves aren't scary. We were just in that.
No, they're terrifying. I almost died like 10 times, but we're good.
You almost died. No.
Yes, they did.
I was
knocked
in control.
out twice back to back.
Well, that was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time.
And I couldn't get super close to the actors because it was fairly shallow for a little bit, but then it just dropped off and it got really deep. And I was just not prepared to really go into the water with them. Connor was a bit concerned about the ocean spray, and so I hadn't brought any kind of like water coverings for the camera.
Go, 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 go!
Can we shoot?
It was nice just kind of being out on the beach, and we could only shoot during the first half of the day and the last half of the day because the lighting's just awful midday. So I ended up taking a break where we all went out for lunch.
It was some seafood restaurant. I can't quite remember the name of it. But we sat down. It was all of us on the crew.
And had a really long visit together and just went over like all our favorite memories from set.
I started asking questions. What was your favorite highlight? What was the stressful moment? And it was just such a great time to catch up, talk, share moments. But also ask for like, what has changed since the beginning of the film? And it was really cool to reflect on those moments. Then we went back up to the beach. We got up there and we started filming. We have this dialogue scene we have to film. There's people up there and they're talking and they're bucking back and forth. So William was on talking duty and trying to tell them to shush. Inevitably, of course, talking into the shot sometimes because he was telling someone else to shush.
Camera speeding?
Yeah, we're good.
Scene 49, Charlie, take one.
Let's light.
It was a struggle to get all the shots that we needed, but we got them, and they look like freaking Titanic because they're beautiful, shot by Rebecca Belico, and they're gorgeous.
It was a pretty surreal moment when we got those final shots, especially because they're such beautiful shots too. Like just filming Nathan and Sarah against a sunset, like is so beautiful. I'd only brought the baby sticks up, and I should have brought the full sticks, but I didn't. I misread the terrain, so for the last shot, it needed to be eye level, and they were standing, and I didn't have like the big tripod, so I was like, okay, William, Connor, I need to like hold this, but I don't want it to be like a handheld shot, so you need to brace me, so I'm like a tripod, and it was really windy. So William like really leaned into me so I could lean back into him, and then Connor was like holding me so I wasn't like going left to right. And it was like the three of us, and they're just bracing me as we get this shot. And it was our final shot of the whole film, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't want this to end any other way. And it was a beautiful shot too. It's also one of my favorite scenes that we did, and that was it. Then we were wrapped, and like we did it. We shot another picture. That's crazy, and we got really excited, and we're all tired and emotional and hugging.
Yeah, walking back with the last bit of light and realizing like, wow, we did this. Like, it's incredible. And I know, like, from the moment we wrapped Space Waves, essentially, I was looking forward to shooting Rubaru because I was just like, I want to do another feature. Like, this is great. Whereas at the end of Rubaru, like, that was kind of it. It was like, oh, like, there's not another feature after this, at least not one I know of yet. And so it's definitely a lot to take in of, you know, wow, we did this, you know, and see each other later for a couple scenes that we had to do pickups for. But yeah, it was still, you know, a lot, giving hugs in the parking lot, and I got everyone there to sign my little camera notebook that I always keep with me on set. And yeah, it was just really special, just hugging everyone and really feeling like a family after, you know, basically a month of filming together.
And I sat down on the hood of my car while actors are in the back. And I just had a silent moment. Taking in the waves, seeing the sunset. I grabbed William, said, William, come here. Kind of stepped aside for a little bit. And I just prayed, giving God the glory, but also just acknowledging that my own life story, depression and anxiety doesn't define me. I'm not there anymore. I've grown from it, and that who I was is no longer who I am, but more importantly, that the lesson that Charles learns at the end of the film about moving on and that life is precious is something that was fully reinforced, and I saw the beauty through the pain finally, in such very crystal clear 8K quality. So it's a beautiful day.
Realizing like, oh, now it's over and we're gonna have to pack everything up and return it and, you know, start school. It kind of felt like, you know, leaving Narnia, and you walk out of the wardrobe and you're like, wait, like I've lived this whole lifetime with these people and now I just have to go back to normal life? Like, what? I don't want to go back. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I definitely didn't want it to end.